Despite assurance by independent observers that the 1998 ballot showdown was free and fair, opposition party supporters and unemployed youth took to the streets. The protesters were armed and pandemonium ensued. Maseru and other surrounding towns were leveled by arson and looting. By the time the static military contingent restored order, businesses and government offices were burnt beyond salvation. Fresh elections were held in 2002. Musisidi's LCD was victorious, but this was to be his final tenure as LCD leader. In 2006, infighting within the LCD led to the birth of another breakaway party, the All Lesotho Convention, ABC. The ABC was headed by Thomas Thabane, a prominent former minister of the LCD who attracted many other LCD ministers. Despite the setback, Musisidi's LCD scraped together a victory in the 2007 elections. In 2012, however, drama continued when Musisidi left the LCD to form a breakaway party. The Young Democratic Congress, DC, led by Musisidi, won more parliamentary seats than any other party in the 2012 elections. However, much to the chagrin of the DC cohort, the seats were not the outright majority required to form a government. ABC's Thomas Thabane saw an opportunity and cobbled together a coalition with the LCD, now headed by Mothetjo Metsing. With the writing on the wall, Musisidi resigned as prime minister, and in his place, Thabane took over as prime minister with Metsing as his deputy. A mere 2 years later, in 2014, the fragile Thabane-Metsing alliance faltered. The situation was exacerbated when Thabane fired the head of the army, Lieutenant General Tadi Kamudi. Kamudi refused to step down and instead led a militia of troops on a raid on police stations across the capital. The police, who were seen as allies of Thabane, were effectively disarmed and Thabane fled the country. SADC intervened in 2015. Parliamentary elections were held, which saw Musisidi's DC not only win the majority of the parliamentary seats, but also form a coalition with several smaller parties. Musisidi was once again inaugurated as Prime Minister on March 17, 2015. Thabane and other opposition leaders continued to live in exile, with Kamudi remaining head of the armed forces. Further interventions by SADC, however, saw the resignation and retirement of Kamudi in February 2017. Thabane and two other opposition leaders spearheaded a motion of no confidence in parliament for Musisidi, who promptly lost the ensuing vote. In March, King Letsie III dissolved parliament, and the general election was scheduled for June 3, 2017. Thabane's ABC secured the most parliamentary seats in the election. However, Thabane needed a full-party coalition to form a governing majority. Musisidi, accepting defeat, resigned, and Thabane became Lesotho's new prime minister. News surfaced in January 2020 that Thabane and his wife, Maizaya, were being probed by law enforcement on their role in the 2017 murder of Thabane's estranged wife, Dipolelo Thabane. Contemporaneously, dissent against Thabane's leadership within the ABC was growing. Calls for him to step down intensified throughout early 2020, and he finally resigned on May 19th. A day later, Thabane's finance minister, Moeketsi Majoro, was sworn in as Lesotho's prime minister.